It seems to be an unsolvable problem. At the very least, we have no idea how to solve it. The trick is finding a way to solve it that works for you so that you can be successful despite reality. What is up, side hustlers, entrepreneurs, business builders, and dream makers? Welcome to the Sell Your Side Hustle Podcast, episode 97. It's great to be back in your butts once again as we strive to be every single day of the work week. Today, I want to talk to you about an unsolvable problem that stops business owners from hitting their goals, and how, even though it's unsolvable at the macro, at the micro on an individual level, there are ways that we can solve the problem. So with that being said, let's get into it. There's a famous experiment where they took rats, they starved them, and then they put them inside a tube. They tied a pulley system to their tail so that they could measure how hard the rat pulled. And then they put the smell of cheese on the other end of the tube. And so how hard the rat pulls is effectively a proxy for desire, how much the rat desires to get to the other end of the tube. Now, because this rat was starving and it could smell food at the other end of the tube, you would expect its desire to be very high. You expect it to pull very hard. But interesting enough, what they found was if they put the smell of a cat on the back end of the tube, the rat would pull a lot harder. What this tells us about rats, at the very least, is that they're more motivated by fear than they are by desire. They're more motivated by the cat than they are by the cheese, more motivated by the stick than the carrot, more motivated by the nightmare than the dream. Why is this important? Because rats are used for these types of experiments because of how similar they actually are to humans. And so one of these things you can be told is we often hear that you're either motivated by a dream or by a nightmare. And the reality is we actually are more motivated on average by nightmares than we are by dreams. When you're in business, this makes the $3,000 to $5,000 a month profit gap really a very dangerous spot to be in as a business owner, because once you're profiting enough to have a decent sustainable income, then suddenly the nightmare is gone. The stick is gone. I no longer need to pay my bills. All that's left is the dream, the carrot. I want to be a millionaire, or I want to make $30,000 a month, or I want XYZ, whatever your goal is, right? Mm-hmm. And so the problem is we're not very well motivated by dreams alone, the average person, right? And I've seen this in the last year, including my business. I've seen this in 5 businesses. I have a friend, client, who is also running an agency similar to the way I'm running an agency. And while their bills are met, they are just coasting and comfortable and relatively happy. And then they lose a client and then they get stressed about not having the finances, and then they find another client. And then they kind of slow down again. I have another friend who runs a larger company than mine and is doing quite well, but was also very stable and very comfortable, had a good sized team under them. And they lost a couple clients, and suddenly they were able to get new clients when they hadn't got new clients for quite a while. Right. In my own business, I've found over and over again that about $6,000 a month profit is like this weird cap point for me, where no matter how hard I try, I haven't been able to get over that profit margin. And it's just this like, I'm good kind of is kind of the problem. I'm trying to find a way out of this, right? And then there's 2 others. Another one was a client making several 6 figures, but wasn't able to scale. It's a repeated problem. I see it in a lot of businesses over and over and over again. I see it where when all our needs are met, and when the stress and the fear disappears, suddenly there's nothing left to push us forward. And the desire isn't strong enough to make the actions happen. And so the question is, how do we solve that problem? That is, by the way, the unsolvable problem that I alluded to in the cold open. That's the unsolvable problem. On the macro level, we don't have a solution to it. Let me tell you about one solution that I heard the first time that I learned about this problem, and then I'll give you my solution, which has 3 steps. Okay. So I know a business owner who is doing probably just shy of 9 figures a year at this point. And when they were growing, they talked a lot about how they needed to be pushed forward. And so what they were doing constantly was accruing higher debts. And so they were like, yeah, as soon as I meet my means, my cost of living is covered. I get something else that I can't afford. So it would be something like, right now I'm paying my rent, I'm paying all of my bills, everything's good, but I work from home. So let's go ahead and rent an office space that I can't afford, so that I now need to find a way to afford that office space. Once I have the office space, let's go ahead and lease a new car so that I can elevate the game there. Once I do that, let's go ahead and rent a property or buy a property and buy another property. And so what he was doing was to force himself to level up. He was leveling up his debts and his expenses. And I hear that, and that's mind-boggling to me that somebody would do that, but it was how he forced himself forward because he recognized the same problem of complacency. Here's my personal solution that I've found that is still experimental, but for me, it seems like it's probably working. Okay. It has 3 parts to it. 1, I do everything in my power to say that my emotions do not have the right to dictate my actions. I'm going to do the right thing regardless of how I feel. That's helpful, especially because we can actually develop what the right things are in the early days while we do have those stressors, and then we can just follow them habitually once those stressors are gone. So let me define this a little bit for you. Lag indicators and lead indicators. Okay. Lag indicators are the metrics we all care about. Typically speaking, they're the things we're interested in: revenue, profit, sales, right? Lead indicators come before the lag indicators. Lag indicators lag behind lead indicators. Lead indicators are the things that we do to make the lag indicators happen. So the way I think about it is lead indicators are proper behavior and lag indicators are rewards for proper behavior. So while we are motivated by the stick, let's figure out exactly what our lead indicators are. And then once the stick's removed, we follow them habitually, which brings me actually to my number 2, which is I simply have a task list that is everything that I need to do on a daily basis, that I make sure I do on a daily basis, that is, it's marketing, outreach, all the things that are going to generate me business. And recording this podcast, by the way, is on that list, right? So it's all the things that I just know I need to do. I have a task list. I want to knock off everything on that task list every single day. And the closer I get to doing that, the more profitable my business is. So I focus on that, right? The third thing that I do, I'm experimenting with this week, but so far it's been really helpful. I'm excited about it, is I gamify my business. I just track a ton of metrics and look at every single day what is something on this long list of actually 260 data points that I can actually make sure to beat today. And therefore, 1, I get a PR, personal record. 2, I have undeniable proof that I am actually improving. 3, I'm excited about the task and trying to get to the goal. Because if you're only tracking revenue, you're going to be excited when you get a new revenue threshold. But there's so many factors that are outside of your control. What if you tracked everything so you could get equally excited about everything? So far, these tricks are working for me. These psychological hacks are working for me, and they're helping me get over the reality that we simply are not motivated by dreams nearly as much as we are motivated by nightmares. Anyway, that's all I have for today. I love you guys so much, and I will be back in your earbuds once again very soon. God bless.